Hello, everyone. Raise your hand if you would like to die broke. Anyone? Some people say yes, some people say no. But the answer really isn't important. As a fourth-generation Washingtonian, I know firsthand that not everyone has the opportunity to make that choice. But we'll get to that in a second. For now, raise your hand if you've read the Iliad. Well, it happens to be my favorite book. Many people read this book as a part of their English class to be able to get through high school and to be able to graduate, but I really believe that people miss one of the most important life lessons that has ever been depicted in literature. Let's start with the fact that the Troy walls were not able to be penetrated. For hundreds of years, people tried to get past these walls. They tried throwing things at it. They tried climbing over it. But for whatever reason, they just could not get through these walls. If you were to take down Troy, you some type of way had to figure out how you were going to get inside of these walls. On the other side, you had the enemies. They tried a million different ways. They couldn't figure out how to get inside. And then finally, it hit them. We have to be invited inside. We some type of way have to get the Trojans to walk us inside of Troy. So they built a giant horse. They climbed inside of it. They gathered a few people to be able to leave it outside of the gates of Troy, and they presented it as a gift. When the people saw it, they just immediately assumed that it was a gift. Now, they didn't just walk up and say, knock, knock, guess who's back? No, they allowed the Trojans to underestimate the Trojan horse. I want you to allow people to underestimate you. I want you to allow people to talk to you as if you're nothing. Have conversations right in front of you as if you're an ant. I want you to allow them to speak to you as if you don't even understand the language. And then you use that information to your advantage. Whether you're too black, too white, too big, too tall, too short, too bald, or just plain broke. Whatever the reason is, allow people to underestimate you. Oftentimes, people feel the need to show people who they are, to show their talents at the wrong moments. They want to say, oh, they don't know who I am? Let me tell them about me. Oh, who are you? What? Where your boss at? No. Allow people to underestimate you. Allow them to think differently of you. If you approach a monster as a monster, do you not think that monster is going to attack you? But if you approach a monster as an ant, they say, no threat here. Come on in. Let me show you my monsterly secrets and tell you my monsterly ways. Sounds familiar? It's similar to the film industry. If you approach an actor and tell him that you're going after the exact same role that he plans to, do you really think he's going to tell you his secrets? Do you really think he's even going to be your friend? But instead, if you go to him and you say, I want to be your understudy, he'll make you his protege. Instead of proclaiming that you're the best director in the land, you go and say, I'm a humble tech geek. I'm just trying to understand the industry better. Then you might end up at the Gwendolyn Theater with a member that's on the board of the Oscars. You might end up with a mentor that's been working in the industry for the past 30 years. Shout out to Mitchell Block. So that's how you go about those things. You allow people to underestimate you. Now, the Trojans were, the enemies were smart. They didn't just immediately hop out. They knew better than that. They wanted people to think that they had received a gift. And so you allow people to use their egos against themselves. They sat there and said, of course they left me a gift. I'm the baddest person in the land. Now I'm going to have my people check it out, but it seems legit. Seems legit. And then they roll this thing in because they think it's a gift. No harm here. And then they throw a party around it. They celebrate it. And they think that they've won. They celebrate a false victory. They get drunk, they're merry, they're happy, and then they go to sleep. Now, the Trojans said, we're not going to just jump out and be like, aha, gotcha, sucker, we inside now, what's up? That would have been foolish. If you attack someone when they expect you to attack, are they not armed and ready and waiting for you? But if you attack somebody when they least expect it, oh, now you got them. And the Trojans understood the importance of that. By the time the Trojans woke up, the city was already in shambles. They were already surrounded. It was nothing that they could do, simply because they allowed themselves to underestimate the Trojan horse. You see, I'm not here for an aha moment. I got you, sucker. Oh, no. I wanted to go down in history that I destroyed you. 1,000 years from now, I want people giving speeches on how I destroyed you. I want murals to be painted about how I destroyed you. I want museums to be erected so when people visit from other countries, they come to see the ruins of how I destroyed you. That's how I like to win. But it requires patience. It requires guts. It requires grit. You see, entertainers are some of the most important Trojan horses in the world. You ever wonder why rich people or wealthy people or whatever you want to call them, their kids don't go off and just do amazing things? It's because they don't have any grit. You ever wonder why super intelligent people end up giving their ideas away? Because they don't have any guts. You see, you have to have guts and grit. You have to be strategic and you have to be patient. Let's look at Beyonce. Beyonce just didn't rise up out of Texas with her fist in the air. No, she strategically calculated her success. She won a ton of Grammys. She became one of the highest paid people in her industry. And then she said, what happened in New Orleans? What happened in New Orleans? Okay? Then we have Oprah. Queen Oprah. For years, people said that Oprah wasn't doing enough to be able to help the black community. You know, she would do things in Africa, but what was she going to do to help the black community? It was so many complaints about this. But you see, Oprah had a plan. Oprah was being a Trojan horse. She waited until she owned her own network. And then she said, let me show you what happened in Selma. What's up, Queen Sugar? Let me put you on, Ava. And I even had the pleasurable honor of her pushing her security aside to take my book from me. She's the real deal. And then you have little me. Little girl from DC that reverse engineered the Fair Isaac credit reporting system to invent the only mobile credit game in the world. Credit Stacker, top 10 app in the world named by Google, similar to Candy Crush, but instead of swapping around candy, you swap around credit types to pay off your debt, achieve a high credit score, and learn from the multiple choice questions. We've been named the best financial literacy product in the country by the White House, Department of Education, and JP Morgan Chase. Thank you. Not to mention the fact that I was also named the next Steve Jobs by Forbes magazine. But even with all of that, we still face an extreme amount of discrimination, and we struggle with funding. In fact, most Black female founders do. Currently, to this day, over the past 6 years, only 16 Black female founders have raised over $1 million. That's less than 0.02% of funding that goes to Black women. As recent as an article in Forbes magazine that just announced number 15 and 16 in November. These are true statistics. I even wrote a book, History of the Black Dollar, to be able to further explain the disparities in our community. So you see, I, too, have to be your Trojan horse. I have to climb to the highest heights to be named one of the top 4 icons in the world by the United Nations for most influential people of the African diaspora. I have to have guts. I have to have grit. I have to be patient. And when the time is right, I will take down their walls. So my message, ladies and gentlemen, to you today is to be a Trojan horse. For you to get that role, attend that college, join that school, be in that film, do marvelous things, win awards, and then you say, what happened on Broadway? What happened in Hollywood? Did you see Hamilton? Did you see Black Panther? Did you see that they made $700 million in less than 10 days? Did you see that? Do you see that the movie theaters are begging for more diversity? So I encourage you to go forth and be Trojan horses. And oh, don't worry if they're still underestimating us. We want you to underestimate us. Because why? Because you don't realize you're already surrounded. You don't realize we've already entered your walls by invitation. You don't realize we're already taking over from Silicon Valley to Hollywood. Books will be written, murals will be painted, museums will be erected. And when they come to Broadway 1,000 years from now, they will see the ruins of how we globally destroyed you and built a new empire from being Trojan horses. So I'm gonna keep going, because a winner don't quit on themselves. Thank you.